But man, we had a good tank run for a while. I was 12-0.
Ow.
Is that Super Bowl thing done yet? I want to watch those commercials on Hulu.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's almost.
That's all I care about. I heard
I'm
the
50
Doritos
cal
one was
sniping
good.
the poor guys who are
Oh,
on top
God.
of the crane, you know.
They've got 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Seattle's
What
gonna
does that
win
actually
pretty well.
mean, though?
It means 4 more minutes and they're done playing.
Yeah, but what is 4
Let's go
minutes
squad leader.
in whatchamacallit, in
The
football?
fourth quarter, there's 4 quarter game of football.
What is going on, guys? Craig, 1287 here, bringing you some Battlefield 4 gameplay. Thought you might enjoy that little long-distance straw shot on the chopper. Those are always fun to snag. And as you'd heard, this was recorded while the Super Bowl was going on. I, as well as a few other TG guys, not that big of football fans, and we just like to check out the commercials on Hulu or YouTube is actually where I ended up watching them. And pretty good commercials. Hope you guys enjoyed it, whether your team was playing and won or not, and other football stuff that I don't understand. So hope you guys enjoyed that. But the main purpose of this video is to talk about 3 different things. First one, just to real quick get out of the way, because this is only applicable to a small number of you probably. I know many of my subscribers are console guys, so this definitely doesn't apply to you. For those of you who are on the PC, you have to be using an AMD GPU to benefit from this, because Mantle has finally come out. The AMD Catalyst 14.1 drivers came out, beta drivers, and Battlefield was updated to have support for Mantle, and Mantle is a pretty darn cool thing from what I hear. A lot of the TG guys that have been using it have seriously benefited from it. It seems to be a really solid graphics API. If you guys don't know what that means, basically it's how your graphics card communicates with your CPU. That's probably one of the simplest ways of putting it. It is a alternative to DirectX 11 or DX11, which is what we use for the most part currently. So hopefully NVIDIA is going to capitalize on this and share in the API world of Mantle. And hopefully they don't decide to make their own, because this is one of those things where competition might not necessarily be a good thing, because it already is competing with DirectX 11. So hopefully they will get in on that action, and us NVIDIA guys can just benefit from it as well. And link to that is in the description if you want to read the article on that. Console guys, you might as well check up on it, because it's probably the future of your consoles as well, since they have APIs of their own. And they might be drawing from that in their next line of consoles. The next thing that I wanted to talk about was DICE has been announcing a lot of the things that they are planning on balancing, and they've done some of that in the patch that they did release, but they didn't do all of it. The big change was the DMRs. They talked about the DMR changes that they were going to be making, and those were the ones that they did make. It doesn't seem like any of the pistol changes, with the mobile anti-air, I don't think any of those really came in, because I'm noticing that it still has roughly 6 of the missiles. It's actually only 4, but it seems like they reload the next 2 really, really quick, which makes it seem like it's 6. But yeah, a lot of those changes did not go in, and I did a video that covered the 3 main ones that they did. They talked about their vehicle updates, their infantry updates, and then the pistol updates. But that day after I made that video, they did release the upcoming grenade tweaks. And so that's just going to go through that real quick. There was only 4 things that they listed. As always, the link is in the description below if you want to go read the article directly. But they are going to increase the number of M84 flashbang and hand flares that the player can carry from 2 to 3. They now are going to allow you to have 3 of the hand flares out at a time. Originally, you could only have 1 out at a time. So things like Op Locker, soon to be Op Metro for us PC and PlayStation guys. those might actually be a legit thing if people are going to be running a lot of the IR scopes and things like that. But even if you're not, they actually can be a good way. Throw them down at your feet, and it makes it really, really hard for players looking down the hall to shoot at you. So that actually might be a legit tactic. And I'll definitely be checking out the flashbangs when they do their changes with that, because they're going to increase the number that you can carry, as well as kind of make them a little more effective. In their second thing, it says increase the effect of the flashbang grenades on friendly and enemy players. When friendly fires off, so only hardcore for the most part, friendlies receive approximately half the effect. Previous duration was 4 seconds, now 5 seconds for enemy players. Additionally, increase the range at which the player feels the full effect, and increase the effect on players that are not looking directly at the flashbang. So this might become viable. I mostly use my grenades. I plan on doing a video at this once all these have gone through, talk about what my main purpose of grenades are, which one I like the most. But I typically don't use grenades to actually kill people. I typically use them to draw enemies out of cover and to hear the callouts when the enemy says, enemy grenade incoming. So that's what I typically use it for. I don't know if flashbangs trigger that callout, but I definitely am interested in using the flashbangs as a sort of room clearance device, because it seems like it has a lot more range than the damage would have on typical things. And if you've got like an LMG, you flashbang a bunch of dudes and hop in there, you've got 5 seconds to just kill them all. So that could be interesting. Next thing is that they increased the maximum damage for the RGO, the impact grenade, from 67 to 80. However, they're reducing the range of the explosion. So this was mostly a balanced decision in making it a viable thing in core and hardcore. I really hate that they're having to make these choices on the two different modes. One of the reasons I've never been a fan of having hardcore mode around is because you have two different damage models that you have to deal with. Or not damage models, but player health models. So this is basically to just keep it from not being OP in core while making, or in hardcore, and making it more viable in core. And then they are going to be doing some changes for the V40 minis. People kind of could have seen this coming. They're reducing the visual and audio effect for the detonation of the V40 Mini to highlight its smaller blast when compared to the other grenades. Also, they're decreasing the max damage from 80 down to 60. Very sad to hear about this. I loved these minis because they were so great. But they definitely needed the nerf. And they're decreasing the range at which the maximum damage is applied. The player continues to carry 3 of them, and they're still able to get a kill in core from 2 of them because they're dealing 60. But it doesn't seem like they're making any nerf to the throwable distance of the V40 minis, which is good to hear, because that's one of the main reasons I actually use them, is the quantity of them and the distance that you can throw them. Makes it really easy to get snipers up top of things, and they're very accurate for throwing through windows. So very glad that they are keeping it very throwable, if that makes sense. And finally, there is a blog post that they put up on the Battlefield blog titled Balancing Battlefield 4 Items We Are Monitoring. And this is basically, I'm not going to go through this one too much because there's a lot of detail there, and as always, link is in the video description below. And basically what this is it is 10 different things that they've heard the community, we want you to make this change, or we want you to add in this feature, this was in previous Battlefield titles, why aren't you bringing it into Battlefield 4, and just things like that. And it's basically them saying, we're not expecting to make these changes, we don't plan on doing these changes, we've tested some of these things and it just didn't play out in our playtests, and here is why we don't want to, but we're definitely not completely closing off our minds to these changes. Over time, they could be swayed to make these changes. Some of these, I doubt it. Things like the long-range scopes for DMRs, they seem like they are. They straight up say we have no intentions of adding those scopes to DMRs for Battlefield 4, and rightfully so, because that would make every class a capable sniper if they were to put those long-range scopes on the DMRs that every class can use. So some of these things, I agree with most of these. Something about the G36 carbine, that gun got just utterly destroyed in Battlefield 4. It's a horrible, horrible gun. Probably one of the if not the least used carbine, and it just isn't good. And they say that they have no intent to change the change the rate of fire, which is sad because that's one of my favorite guns in real life, as it is in video games. And so definitely check that out. I'm sure you'll be depressed to see some of the things that you would love to see changed, as something they've stated they have no intention on changing. But check those 3 links out if you guys can, and hope you've enjoyed the gameplay there going on in the background. A whole lot of anti-air footage. Definitely still loving the anti-air. Got to use it before they do nerf it into oblivion, and I get stuck having to use the 30mm, which is actually what you see me using in this clip. In this round, it's all 30mm because I'm trying to get used to it before the big nerf. So I hope you guys have enjoyed all of the gameplay and the interesting discussions, I hope. Have a good one. Ta-ta.